On tonight's episode of the 305 Gridiron, we are talking about the all-time Miami Dolphins offensive roster. Next week we'll do defense, so don't worry. We're going to get to them both, but we're going to do from 1990 to today, so the last 36 years of Miami Dolphins players. We're looking for the best ones. We put them in a little bit of a roster here, and we're going to see what you think and see who you would rather have in your all-time offense. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron, your source for news, fan interaction, and information about the Miami Dolphins. I am your host for this evening, Anthony Pinzone, and Josh, unfortunately, feeling a little bit under the weather, so he won't be able to join us tonight, which is a bummer because I know how excited he was for this show, specifically to talk about the all-time Miami Dolphins roster, our all-time Miami Dolphins roster, and a few things I want to, the way I approach this, and Josh may have approached it differently. I don't know. He's been under the weather for a few days, so I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it. But I kind of approach this by memory, who I remember being really excited about, who I remember uh, loving as a kid, right? And as a not so kid fan. So there may be some surprises on here. There's certainly differences from Josh. I will talk about Josh's picks, and then I'll talk about my picks here, and it should be fun. I'm really pumped about it. I'm really pumped to talk about all-time Miami Dolphins roster from 1990 to today. That's even cutting it a little bit for us because Josh and I are both born in '86, so we'd only be 4 years old at the time we start this roster. I don't remember much from when I was 4. I don't know about you, and if you do remember much from when you were 4, congratulations. That's pretty cool. Before we get into the topic at hand, though, I got to thank all of you who have subscribed lately. We're up to 199 subscribers. We have a goal to get to 250 by August 11th, so we're well on our way to getting to that goal, and that's because of you. Thank you so much. Also, the schedule has changed. You may have noticed that this show is coming out on a Wednesday night, which is our in-season schedule. That's right. We are shifting back now. Now that the combine, the free agency, and the NFL draft are all over, we're shifting back to Wednesday nights, not yet Mondays. In season, we do Monday and Wednesday, but we're just going to do each Wednesday. We're doing one show a week until July 27th. And then July 27th, we will get right back into it. We're talking immediately diving into roster construction, preseason previews, things of that nature. It seems far away right now, but just about a little over 2 months away. There are things that are happening in between now and then that we'll probably talk about on future shows. You got the rookie mini camp, um, amongst other things. There's already been cuts to the roster, I guess, because between the undrafted free agents and the NFL draft, we ended up over the uh, the roster cap. So there has been cuts. Some people have won jobs already, which is kind of crazy. Um, so yeah, check out the 305gridiron.com for all that information, by the way. Trying to keep track of all the transactions, at least up to the season. It's really hard to keep track of transactions in season. They happen very often. So I don't know if we'll keep it going for in season, but at least for the off season, we want to make sure we're tracking who's in, who's out, and what the final roster looks like. So all admin aside, let's get into this. We're starting off with the offense. You'll get to see the defense next week, so that's exciting. But the quarterback position, I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. His picture's right here over my shoulder. Dan Marino is obviously the number one choice for Miami Dolphins at quarterback. Sadly, we haven't really had a lot of options since he retired in 2001 or 2000. To really choose from here. And I'll talk about that in a second, but let's get into Dan for a hot minute. First ballot Hall of Famer in 2005, so he did retire in 2000. 9-time Pro Bowler. He was the 1984 MVP, league MVP, and he set 13 franchise records, set many league records, and honestly, many quarterbacks of today credit him with changing the way the game was played. Back when in 1984, I believe he came into the league, or 83, this wasn't a passing league. People didn't throw for 3,000 yards, let alone 4,000, 5,000 yards like Dan did. Um, People didn't sling it down the field constantly. And the Dolphins changed that. Don Chula, Dan Marino come in. We got a guy with a rocket arm. We're going to change some stuff, right? We're going to change the way the game is played. And they did. Unfortunately for Dan, he never did get the Super Bowl. Often, if you watch a lot of NFL content, there's always those lists of like the greatest to never won a ring. And Dan's usually at the top of that list. And it's unfortunate that we couldn't get one for him. But still, many of us Dolphins fans have fond memories of him. I, of course, am a little on the younger side during his career, having been born after he started playing football. But I do remember, his late '90s career uh, with good, you know, with positive memories of that experience. I remember being in the playoffs all the time, which was great. We don't really get that anymore. And I just remember that as long as Dan was on the field, there was always a chance to win. And I kind of miss that, right? I kind of miss that. I'm hoping that Sully and Half can kind of bring that feeling back because we haven't had that feeling. The feeling of any game is winnable. Haven't had that in a while. Dan threw for 61,000 yards, 420 touchdowns, and 252 interceptions in his career. He had an 86.4 passer rating. Outside of being known for just having a rocket arm, he was also known for, not going to run anywhere on you. Dude had really broken knees or Achilles or something. I can't remember. But he wasn't going to run on you. And if he did run on you, he was only going to get 1 yard before your defenders caught up to him, if that. But yeah, he's very clearly the best quarterback in franchise history. We could have an entire episode on him. We could go over our favorite games and all that stuff. Quite frankly, I don't remember. My memory is not that good where I could sit here and quote to you my favorite games from Dan Marino. I'd have to research that a little bit more, but fond memories. It's a reason he's on the wall behind me. And it's actually twice. I think he's up in this one up here as well. Let me look. Yeah, he's in that one too. So he's on my wall multiple times. And I have to get a few other players up there because it looks weird. Looks like a shrine. Okay. Quarterback number 2 is where it gets interesting because we did pick 2 quarterbacks each. And this one is where there was a lot of difference here. Mainly because we didn't really have another, like I mentioned before, we didn't really have another quarterback that stood out that much. I'll start with Josh's. Josh went with Chad Pennington, which I feel that's a fine selection. Pennington led us to an AFC championship in 2008 at a time where, the Patriots were in the middle of their dominating run, in the middle of their dynasty. He threw for 4,600 yards and 23 touchdowns to 12 picks. He had a 90 QB rating. And frankly, he was the best quarterback we had seen since Dan retired in 2000. We had Fiedler for a while, Brock Heward, and a few other, no names that came in. And we took Pennington from the Jets, where he became a free agent from the New York Jets. He came in here and wins comeback player of the year and an AFC East championship. 11-5 we went that year after a 1-15 season the year before. The classic Cleo Lemon to Greg Camarillo overtime win against the Baltimore Ravens in 2007. Goodness. For some reason, I remember that like it was yesterday. I did not choose Chad Pennington myself, although there's definitely some very good reasons to choose him. And honestly, I had a trouble here choosing between Tannehill and Tua. Neither guy won anything. That's the thing that Pennington has over them, as neither Tannehill nor Tua won a playoff game. I'm not even sure that either of them had a winning record. I know Tua did for a while and then ended his reign with Miami after 2 back-to-back just horrific seasons. Tannehill I had fond memories of. It was so exciting to have a first-round pick at quarterback again. We had really churned the quarterback position for a while before we had the opportunity to draft Tannehill in the first round. If you didn't know, he was formerly a wide receiver. Those listening who were here for the Tannehill days, that's all the announcers used to say is, he used to be a receiver. He's pretty fast. Because, of course, he was a receiver in college first before he became a quarterback. And then, of course, Tua. How could we forget Tua? I mean, his improbable 2023 season where he was up for MVP voting. If he didn't crash and burn at the end of the season, he very well could have won MVP that year. Put up record numbers to Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins make the playoffs. And unfortunately, what was often a problem with Tua and his career, he wasn't available. Skylar Thompson started the playoff game against the Buffalo Bills, and he performed very admirably, but obviously couldn't get it done. We didn't win that game. Tua comes back in 2024, has a pretty down year, and then 2025, we know what happened there. Just an absolute disaster. So he ends up getting cut, costing us millions and millions of dollars. So from that perspective, maybe I don't want to lean Tannehill because of that. But you can see the problem here with picking a second quarterback for the all-time roster. Obviously, if we were doing all-time, you're looking at Bob Greasy here. But we're doing from 1990 to present. So that left us with very few options. It really bit us in the ass there, trying to select a second quarterback. Who would you pick? Who is your second quarterback from 1990 to the present? Would you go with Pennington, Tannehill, or Tua? Or somebody else? I mean, Fiedler? I guess you could go Fiedler. I don't know. Running back position also had some controversy around it, but the clear-cut number one, similar to the quarterback position, clear-cut number one was Dan Marino. Clear-cut number one at the running back position is Ricky Williams. What a time to be alive that was. If you weren't around for that, I mean, I believe it was Mike Ditka was the coach / GM of the Saints at the time. He trades his entire draft, every pick, to move up and take Ricky Williams to the New Orleans Saints. Ricky was okay, I guess, for the Saints. He always had problems in his career with marijuana, which is ironic because now marijuana is pretty legal virtually everywhere, including the league. So, Ricky was just before his time, I guess. But Ricky Williams was an incredible running back, an incredible runner. He ran with power and speed. He was the 2002 NFL rushing champ, 1,853 yards. He went to 2 Pro Bowls. And honestly, you could argue he's been the most dominant running back in our history, despite only playing with us for, quite a few years. 2002, 2003 is the real memories I have. He did get suspended for a year because of the marijuana thing. Comes back 2005, plays till 2010. So he played for about 8 years with us. Went to 2 Pro Bowls. His rushing championship. He's the only running back ever to lead the NFL in rushing. And he carried our offense during a time of absolute nothingness at the quarterback position and pretty much at offense in general. So Ricky Williams, very easy to put him number one here. Curious if you guys agree with that, honestly. Number 2, Josh actually put De'Von Achane here. He is really high on the A train. I am too. I don't know that I would put him at number 2 already, though, for greatest Dolphins running backs from 90 to today. But I got to tell you, he's getting there real fast, right? He's getting there real fast. I think other honorable mentions here, of course, probably Ronnie Brown, right? Ronnie Brown's probably the biggest name to think about. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had some pretty good years there. Lamar Smith, the playoff GOAT over there, was pretty good too. But Ronnie Brown, to me, the leader of the Wildcat, right? He's what made the Wildcat successful. Ricky was still on the team at the time. We had such a 1-2 punch there. Ricky Williams and Ronnie Brown, absolutely nuts. We drafted Ronnie Brown 2nd overall, by the way, in 2005. And he had some really good years for us. He didn't have a long career, though, as many running backs from that age didn't, because they were run into the ground. They carried the ball 300 times a year and ran with such intensity. There wasn't a care really for their bodies at that time. So Ronnie only played 4 or 5 years for us before he ends up going to the Chargers. And I think he only lasted there 1 year before he ended up into a forced retirement. I say that Achane, if he's not already above Ronnie Brown, he's got to be pretty close. He's 3,000 yards rushing already, 172 receptions, 1,200 receiving yards, and 35 total touchdowns. In 2023, he had a breakout season. He answered the bell when it comes to the critics who thought he didn't have the frame to carry the load. Right, that's been the knock on Achane for since he came out of college. Is that his slight frame won't live up to the NFL, the ground and pound of the NFL. But the reality is, with our zone scheme, he doesn't need to really. It's actually perfect for him. And many times last year, there's I would say maybe half of our games we lose if it's not for Achane just coming in and performing absolute miracles. I'm thinking of like the fourth and 14 play, I think it was, where he gets a screen pass and he converts that to a first down. I don't even remember what team we were playing. The Buffalo Bills game that we actually won, and Buffalo was coming back in the second half. It was going to be a typical Miami Dolphins game where we dominate the first half and get wrecked in the second. And then Achane just puts the team on his shoulders. I think he ran for 100 plus yards in the second half alone and 2 touchdowns to put the Bills away, which was freaking nuts, right? It's like our Super Bowl to beat the Bills. I mean, we have a terrible record against them. So uh, now that I'm talking about it, maybe Achane is the second best on this list over the last 35 years or so to play the game for the Dolphins. So yeah, De'Von Achane is awesome. I can't wait to watch the rest of his career. Gonna move into fullback. It won't take long here. I think there was maybe 2 choices: Rob Conrad and Alec Ingold. Ingold just left. Josh went with Conrad, and really, I don't care enough about it to argue one way or the other. Conrad actually had 165 catches, 1,495 yards, and 9 touchdowns in his career. He played from 1999 to 2004 for the Miami Dolphins. He was a reliable blocker, and a reliable receiver. And honestly, he just did all the dirty work. Rob Conrad was a traditional do it all fullback. He went in, did his job, never complained, never heard his name called. He was just a tough, defendable player who kind of helped us bridge the Marino era in the early 2000s, right? Marino retires in 2000. The team, out of necessity, becomes more run heavy. And I think Rob Conrad was a big piece of helping us during that transition. That's it for the running backs and the fullbacks. So let me know who your top guys are in the comments below. I'm really interested, especially to hear about the Achane argument there. Is there any other running backs in this 35-year period we're talking that you would put over him? Uh, Ronnie was the only one I could think of, but now that I've talked through it, I think Achane deservedly so is there. And if he has another season, another big season this year, I mean, he may be above Ricky soon. Let's talk wide receivers. Number 1 wide receiver over the last 35 years for the Miami Dolphins. And remember where we're coming from for this, because I know there's going to be people who like number 3 and 4 on our list more than Josh and I do. And that's okay, because you probably got to appreciate their career more than we did. So remember, it's our all-time list. Guys that we grew up with, guys that we loved watching. Not necessarily the best statistically, it's just the guys we really latched onto as Miami Dolphins. And number 1 on that list is Tyreek Hill. It is hard to ignore the impact that Tyreek Hill has had on this team. He's the most dynamic playmaker we've seen on the Miami Dolphins roster maybe ever, right? Achane has a chance to surpass him with that title. And Tyreek, of course, is a free agent now. But 4,733 yards and 29 touchdowns in just 54 games for the Miami Dolphins. That's pretty good. It's 87.6 yards per game for the Miami Dolphins. He went to multiple Pro Bowls. He led the league in receiving in 2023 with 1,799. He was an all-pro player. And frankly, he was the most explosive receiver in franchise history with unmatched game-breaking speed. Get the ball in his hands. That's why our 2023 was so successful, right? I mean, we heard Waddle talk about it after the season. They went into 2023 with a plan to get Tyreek the ball. And whether or not you agree with that plan, it led to Tua's most successful year, the Dolphins' most successful year in decades, and one of Tyreek's most successful years. And he played with Patrick Mahomes for a few years. He helped to transform our offense. I mean, there's not much more to say. Like, how do you put the guy further down the list who literally transformed this team over a 4 or 5 year period? Um, Absolutely, Tyreek, one of our favorites. Unfortunate how things ended. And the drama off the field, also unfortunate. Certainly not things that um, that we stand behind. But just talking about the player on the field, the impact he made to the team, the leadership he made. From the outside looking in, he was an awful leader, right? From those of us standing out here looking at the team, it didn't seem like he was a very good leader. But every player on that team says otherwise. Every player on that offense, Tua, Waddle, anybody who came in says otherwise. Says he was an amazing leader. I mean, why would they lie? I don't know. I don't know. Number 2 on the list, I am not so sure about, and I would love to hear your opinions on this. Josh has Jalen Waddle at number 2 on the list, and honestly, I'd probably move him down a bit. 3 is Mark Clayton, 4 is Mark Duper. I think I would move Clayton to 2, Duper to 3. There's definitely an argument to be made to move those guys to 1 and 2, but remember, Clayton's career is from 83 to 93, so his sample size for this particular exercise from 90 to the present is only 3 years. And Mark Duper played from 82 to 92, so his is only 2 years. Not guys that Josh and I really got a chance to appreciate as Miami Dolphins. We still put them on the list because they are all-time great Miami Dolphins, and they did play within the period that we're looking at. And Miami's receivers have been pretty ass since they've left. But Mark Clayton and Mark Duper, man, they were called the Marks brothers. Clayton went to 5 Pro Bowls. Duper went to 3. They both had nearly 9,000 yards, just under 9,000 yards. Mark Clayton, 81 touchdowns, and Duper with 59. Both of them over 500 receptions. Absolute top tier wide receivers for the time. From 83 to 93 to have those stats is absolutely crazy. You don't understand. Like, the league did not throw the ball that much. Like, these guys were both beneficiaries of the new Marino style of passing and the Marino style of offense, but also helped him become what he is, right? Like, Marino can't do it himself. He's sure as shit can't throw the ball up and run and catch it because he can't run. But I definitely want to get out there. Clayton and Duper are on this list. Put them in whatever order you want. Clayton, Duper, and Tyreek Hill are certainly 3 of the 4 receivers. No questions asked. Number 4 becomes a really difficult conversation because there's a lot of just guys. Like, to me, Jalen is a guy, right? He's just a guy. And then if we look at the other players, though, it's really hard to pick somebody else. Chris Chambers was just a guy. Jarvis Landry, for all that he was, for as exciting as he was, for as he came out with Odell, right? Him and Odell are both on that LSU team, and they were fantastic. They were dynamic. Jarvis caught everything, but at the end of the day, ended up just being a guy. He didn't help us win anything, right? And then you can go back to Arondé Gadsden, same thing. Made some amazing catches, right? And drop the easy ones. That was the knock on Gadsden. He could make the most amazing catches, but drop the easy ones. Who do you put it for between Waddle and Chambers, Landry, Gadsden? Or do you go a little out there and choose Wes Welker, even though most of Wes Welker's career wasn't with the Dolphins, right? Now, those of you who were big Dolphins fans at that time, you remember the pain of losing Wes Welker to the Patriots. You remember a young, scrappy wide receiver who did nothing but ball out in training camp, did nothing but ball out in preseason, did everything to earn a spot on that roster, gets cut, and the rest is history. Bill Belichick scoops him up, goes on to have arguably a Hall of Fame career. We'll see. So who do you pick? Who do you pick at number 4? Jalen Waddle has had 373 receptions, 5,039 yards, and 26 touchdowns in 78 games. He broke the rookie reception record in 2021 with 104 catches and went to a Pro Bowl that year as well. He was an elite route runner. He had an exceptional yard after the catch ability. He had an exceptional chemistry with Tua, who he played with in college, by the way. And he was a lethal 1-2 punch with Hill. Although, if you've been to the show before, I believe the Tyreek Hill signing stunted Jalen Waddle from becoming a wide receiver 1. Waddle was what, a top 10 pick? Should have been the wide receiver 1. I think he broke records in his rookie year. I think he was on his way. But Tyreek Hill comes in, and clearly Tyreek Hill is going to demand targets. He's going to demand attention. And I think that really stunted Waddle from becoming what I thought he could be. I thought he could be a wide receiver 1. You know? I thought he could be an elite premier wide receiver. And now, of course, lately we joke in our live streams and stuff that he's just he's not that he's soft, but he is often injured. And he's not often on the injury report. But if you watch the game, you watch him hobble off to the sideline semi-regularly. If you own him in fantasy, you're already aware of that because you watch your maybe wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on your fantasy roster hobbling off the field on a regular basis, and you're probably pretty annoyed by that. And you're saying to yourself, I'm never drafting that guy again. And then you draft him again next year. That's a tough one, though. And a lot of these are tough, honestly. Like, we haven't had the best teams in this 35-year time period that we've lived through and chose because it's kind of the prime years for us as Dolphins fans. Shout out to you guys who got to enjoy the Dolphins back in the 70s and stuff. That must have been something. Let's get to the tight end position, by the way, because this is another. I don't even know who to put here, right? Like, our overall wide receiver position has been so bad in this 35-year time period that I could honestly make an argument for throwing Jonnu Smith here. Honestly could. I mean, he broke every tight end record that the Dolphins had, essentially, which wasn't, which wasn't saying a lot because our records weren't very good. But, you could definitely make an argument for Jonnu here. Now, Josh has Mike Gesicki and Randy McMichael here at tight end. Gesicki had 345 catches, 3,779 yards, 22 touchdowns. He was the most productive in his career for the Dolphins, in the modern history at least. And he was a matchup nightmare. 6'6", athletic. He averaged 70-plus catches a season in his prime. I believe he's still playing for the Bengals, if I remember that correctly. Played with the Dolphins from 2018 to 2022, but never really lived up to the hype from when he was drafted, right? Drafted to be a difference maker. And he did well for us, but compared to what? The other tight end on this list is Randy McMichael, who played 5 years for us and had less catches, less yards, and less touchdowns. Randy McMichael was nothing against Randy McMichael. He was a reliable receiving threat during the post-Marino era. He was part of those absolutely horrific teams and was one of the few lone bright spots there. But more of a blocker than a receiver, right? He helped break Ricky Williams out. Like I said, if you truly look at it, right, there's an argument to be made for Jonnu Smith here. Now, another guy that somebody mentioned in a live stream, and kudos to you, whoever you were, I forget who it was, mentioned Keith Jackson. I don't remember Keith Jackson at all, but his career does fall within this timeline from 1990 to the present. Very good. He played for Miami for 4 years. He had a really long career, only with Miami for 4 years. He had a really good stat line too. So Keith Jackson's another name here. But doing this exercise made me realize that, man, the last 35 years has been tough to be a Dolphins fan, if you didn't realize that already. Mike Gesicki, Randy McMichael, Keith Jackson, Jonnu Smith. Who do you put there, right? Who are you putting at tight end for The all-time 35-year Dolphins roster, last 35 years. And I think Zonka played tight end, right? So if we're doing all-time, it gets easier. But from 90s and 2000s, not so much. Jonnu was great, though, man. I wanted to bring Jonnu back. I guess there's still a chance we could bring Jonnu back, but I don't know. Seems unlikely at this point. And lastly, we get to the offensive line. Now, there's not much to say here statistically for the offensive line, right? I could go to each guy and be like, dominant during his time. That's about as much as I can say on the offensive line. I should have had Dirk come in here and do the offensive line piece for me. But let's talk about it. I mean, many of them Pro Bowlers, many of them All Pros, and some questionable, some argument to be made on a few of these. Left tackle's not one of them. Richmond Webb, easy. Played from 1990 to 2000. Made the Pro Bowl 7 times. Was a 5-time All-Pro. He's on the Dolphins honor roll at the stadium. Richmond Webb. Played with Marino for all 10 years. Protecting his blind side. He had to protect the blind side of a quarterback who couldn't scramble to save his life, literally. He was one of the most dominant offensive linemen of the 90s. He was an elite pass protector, and he was a franchise left tackle back in a time where that could make or break a team, right? Dolphins made the Pro Bowl how many years out of those 10 years there? A lot. And Richmond Webb was a huge part of that. So Richmond Webb, all-time great Miami Dolphin. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, actually. Let's Google that real quick. Richmond Webb Hall of Fame. He's not. Huh. Amazingly enough, he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, which is honestly a travesty. So that stinks. But let's move on. Left guard. We have Keith Sims here. Played from 90 to 97. 113 games he played in with 108 starts. Made 2 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro. Powerful run blocker. Interior protector for Marino. And a key component of the offensive line. Right alongside Richmond Webb. That left side of that line did not get pushed around. It was huge. It was dominant. Wide open holes for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Lamar Jackson. Really just something that the Dolphins fans have been longing for since then, right? I mean, every year we hit the NFL draft and we're talking, God, it'd be nice to have an offensive line again. That's what they're talking about right there. Richmond Webb, Keith Sims. Dominance. Absolute dominance. At center, we're going to go a little more modern. Those of you who remember the Pouncey twins will not be surprised by Mike Pouncey here at center. He was one of the few Miami Dolphins draft picks that everybody seemingly was on board with. Started 90 games. He played 90 games with 90 starts from 2011 to 2017. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler and a 2-time All-Pro. He was the most dominant center in franchise history. There's no other way to put it. Mike Pouncey was an incredible player to watch. He was incredibly smart. He could move. He was not like a stone wall there in the sense that he could just put his feet in the ground and stuck. No, he was a mover. He was a good lead blocker. He was a good swing blocker. And really anchored a Dolphins line from 2011 to 2017 that excelled in the run. And the pass wasn't bad too. Ryan Tannehill over there. So Mike Pouncey gets his flowers at the center position. And then we talk right guard. And this one's a little bit surprising. But Josh and I, maybe not that surprising, because Josh and I have lamented not re-signing him almost every time we talk about the roster. And that's Robert Hunt. And perhaps it was the best move not to re-sign him. I believe the Carolina Panthers paid him an absolute butt ton of money. But the right guard position has been an absolute turnstile since he left in 2023 or 2024, whatever. He played 62 starts in 63 games. He could play guard and tackle, powerful run blocker, You could argue he was an elite run blocker. He was an absolute physical mauler. He was what made the offensive line physical and what we kind of got away from. And what Dolphins fans are annoyed by is that we have such an unphysical, undominant offensive line. They're not scaring anybody. But we had guys who could scare somebody. We had Robert Hunt. We had Laramie Tunsil, right? And you could say, well, we got so much draft capital for Tunsil, and we did. You're right. You're not wrong. But we didn't turn that draft capital into shit, right? What did we get out of that? 0 playoff wins from Laramie Tunsil haul, if you want to call it that. We're talking offensive line with Laramie Tunsil and Robert Hunt on it. And imagine adding some of these modern guys that we have onto that line. Tunsil and Hunt both still playing, by the way. Last position I'll talk about on this podcast, and of course, we have the defensive side to talk about too, which will come out next week. And this one, there's some argument to be made. I think between 3 guys. Now, Josh put Todd Wade on here. Played 4 years for us, played 60 games, 60 starts, solid pass protector and a consistent starter. And a reliable player on the offensive line. But I think there's an argument to be made for De'Von James here, or even Vernon Carey here. I guess it depends what kind of offensive lineman you're looking for, right? Now, De'Von James ends up leaving and going to, I believe, the Broncos. Now, I don't know if he's still in the league. Let's see. He's only 33 years old, so it's possible he is. No. He's no longer in the league. So that's unfortunate for him. And then, of course, Vernon Carey. There's a Vernon Carey Jr. now, by the way, so he didn't come up right away. But Vernon Carey was a really good right tackle for the Miami Dolphins as well. He is, let's see, let's go take a look at him real quick. Oh my goodness. So ESPN not helping me out, not giving me a range. Sorry, I don't have this ahead of time, but I'm getting there. There we go. Oh my goodness. So Vernon Carey played with the Dolphins from 2004 into 2011. 107 games started, 121 games total. I have pretty good memories of Vernon Carey on that right side of the line. He was Dolphins' first-round pick, 19th overall in the 2004 draft. So definitely an argument to be made for him there at right tackle. And then let me see if I can get De'Von James' stats for you real quick while I'm here. 2014 to 2018, he played 62 games for the Miami Dolphins there. He was a first round, also 19th overall pick in the draft. I'm wondering if Todd Wade was the 19th overall. He wasn't. Todd Wade's second round, 53rd overall. Played 63 games for the Dolphins. And then played for Houston and Washington as well. So that is it for the offense. We have the defense coming to you next week, as I mentioned before, but I am curious to hear your thoughts on the offense. Who is in the last 35 years of Miami Dolphins football, from 1990 to 2025, because we haven't played a 2026 season yet, who makes your all-time list? We picked 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 1 fullback, 4 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 1 of each of the offensive line positions. So throw it down below. Who's on your list? Who did we forget, right? More than happy to admit that we may have missed somebody here. It's been a lot of players in 35 years. Hard to remember all of them. But definitely quite a few of these guys have a special place in my heart. The early days of Mike Gesicki were really exciting. Ricky Williams and Ronnie Brown connection was amazing. The Wildcat destroying the Patriots on, I think, in prime time Oh my God, no better feeling than that one. Tyreek Hill coming to town and absolutely just changing the way the Miami Dolphins played offense, right? Along with Mike McDaniel, absolute wonder, you know, after the Adam Gase disaster and the Brian Flores uh, did okay, but there was lots of drama with Flores even. And then Mike McDaniel comes to town with this new high flying offense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle are the faces of that offense. Absolutely fantastic. And then, De'Von Achane on this list as well. Do you agree? Would you have Ronnie Brown over Achane at this point? Or has Achane done enough for you to add him to your list? And then, of course, last but certainly not least, who are your top two quarterbacks? We know Marino is one. Who is number two? You a Tua guy, a Tannehill guy, a Pennington guy? Like who is the second best quarterback in the last 35 years for the Miami Dolphins? Maybe you're a Brock Heward guy. Maybe you're gonna give it to Cleo Lemon for getting us our one win in 2007. You know. By the way, only one Hall of Famer from this offensive list here, and that has been Dan Marino. So that's a shame. But yeah, that's our all-time Miami Dolphins offense for over the last 35 years, so our lifetime essentially. These are the guys that we are most closely tied to, the ones we appreciate the most, the ones we have the fondest memories of. Love to hear your thoughts down below. If you're not subscribed yet and you enjoyed this episode or you enjoyed any of our episodes, please hit the subscribe button. 250 subscribers by August 11th. That's our goal. Just a personal goal. Nothing happens for us, so don't like unlock any new tools, but something does happen for you. We will do a jersey giveaway at 250 subscribers. All 250 of you will be entered into a random choice, and then I don't know how we're going to reach out, maybe send you a message on YouTube or whatnot, but yeah, at 250, if we hit 250 subscribers by August 11th, we will give away a jersey, so that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so thank you all so much for listening. This has been the 305 Gridiron. I'm Anthony Pinzone. Until next time, fins up, baby.